Story recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a horror and mystery film called Sorority Row. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. During a fun night filled with red Solo cups, drunk college kids, and an overall wild party, 5 sorority sisters, Jessica, Cassidy, Claire, Chugs, and Ellie, offer a toast to their house, Theta Pi, and sisterhood. Then they realize that their other sorority sister, Megan, is missing from the group. Knowing where she is, Jessica calls everyone to watch a live feed on YouTube featuring Garrett having his way on a drugged Megan. But as he touches her, she suddenly starts convulsing and vomiting. Alarmed with Megan's condition, the girls rush over to their room, panicking Garrett seeking help. To clear her airway, Jessica tries to give her CPR while Chugs orders Garrett to get the car so they can bring her to the hospital. However, when Garrett is finally out of the room, Megan suddenly starts kissing Jessica, revealing that she's actually fine. While the others are confused, Megan explains she caught Garrett cheating on her, so she tries to get revenge by playing a little prank on him with the help of Jessica, Claire, and Chugs. But the fun isn't over yet, for they continue to play the prank by driving to the lake situated near a mining location. Garrett panics in the car, losing his mind over the possibility that Jessica might be dead. Meanwhile, Cassidy starts to feel bad and tries to put a stop to the prank, but Jessica cuts her off. Parking in front of the lake, they drag Megan's limp body off the car. Garrett immediately runs off to the side and starts throwing up in shock, while Jessica pretends to think about whether they should just throw Megan's body at the lake or cut her up into pieces. Then Ellie speaks up, saying that it might float if the body has air in the lungs. Because of this, Jessica jokingly orders everyone to look for sharp rocks so they can dismember Megan's body. As they do so, Megan starts recording the prank on her phone, propping it up beside her. While Cassidy and Ellie ask Jessica how long they plan to keep this going, Garrett stabs Megan in the chest with a tire iron. They scream as Megan starts to die for real, with Garrett exclaiming there's no air in her lungs anymore. However, he also finds out that she's still alive. Cassidy and Ellie then try to put pressure on the wound to stop the bleeding, but to no avail. When Claire tries to call for an ambulance, she realizes there's no cell reception. Cassidy tries to get everyone back to the car so they can bring Megan to the hospital, but Jessica stops them, pointing out that she's already dead and the best way to deal with the situation is to get rid of Megan's body. Cassidy then intervenes, trying to convince the others that they should do the right thing, but Jessica convinces them to sweep the accident under the rug, or else they'll end up ruining their own lives. Cassidy walks away to call the police, and even when Garrett threatens her to stop, she's relentless. The rest continue with the plan, but instead of throwing Megan's body in the lake, they throw her down the mine shaft, wrapped in Cassidy's jacket. Then, when Cassidy returns, she realizes that they're blackmailing her into coercion by implying she murdered Megan and wrapped her body in her jacket. Because of that, Jessica successfully gets Cassidy's silence as they throw the weapon down the mine shaft too. The girls graduate 8 months later, as they still carry the burden of their secret with them. Cassidy continues to distance herself from her sorority sisters. Before the formal luncheon party at the Theta Pi house, Cassidy spends a short while with her boyfriend, Andy. He notices that something is off with Cassidy, witnessing the tense atmosphere between her and the others. So he tries to find out about what happened the night they all started acting differently. However, Cassidy refuses to talk about it. At the sorority house, Jessica gives a small speech to the guests of their luncheon. Then, when she starts to mention Megan's disappearance, they suddenly see a girl arriving who looks like their dead friend. Ellie screams in horror and faints, only to realize that it's just Maggie, Megan's younger sister. Maggie tells the girls that she'll be joining Theta Pi. Jessica politely sends her away. As they start to get the house ready for the party, Mickey, Claire's boyfriend, and Kyle, Jessica's boyfriend, greet them. Jessica asks for help from the two to prepare while Chugs excuses herself to go to her therapist, saying she'll try to get some illegal substances from her doctor. However, before Chugs could leave, the girls all get a text revealing a picture of the tire iron used to murder Megan. Chugs immediately reacts, saying it's from Garrett, who's developed a twisted sense of humor after the incident. When Chugs gets to her therapist's office, she finds the room empty. She also calls out to her doctor numerous times, yet gets no answer. Going further in, She finds her doctor with one hand cuffed to the bed. He offers to provide Chugs with sample prescriptions in exchange for giving him a good time. And although unwilling at first, she gives in at the prospect of receiving drugs and excuses herself to freshen up in the bathroom first. While Chugs is in the bathroom, the doctor gets alerted when he notices someone in the hallway. He calls out to the intruder and uncuffs himself to check who it is, only to be pierced in the head with a tire iron with blades thrown by the hooded stranger. Clueless about what happened, Chugs leaves the bathroom looking for her, so she lies down on the couch, a bottle of alcohol in her hand. Unfortunately, when she starts to drink from the bottle, the hooded intruder appears in front of her and pushes the entire bottle into her, feeling a little tense about the Megan incident. Thinking that they're safe in the privacy of their bathroom, they spill the beans about what they've done, unknowingly revealing it to a sorority sister who has been in the shower for a while. Shocked with the revelation, the girl tries to keep quiet until the shower starts to turn on. She then checks to see if she's alone, but suddenly, the hooded killer strikes again and stabs the tire iron under her chin and straight up her skull. Down in the basement, Ellie goes to fetch more vodka when her much-needed flashlight dies down. A bit scared, she opens a light source, only to see half of Cassidy's bloody jacket, the one used to cover Megan. She then freaks out and runs back upstairs to tell the others. Ellie starts having a breakdown, theorizing that maybe Megan has come back from the dead to exact revenge. So in order to reassure Ellie, Cassidy mentions that they all received a message showing a picture of the tire iron, making them conclude that Garrett is pranking them. Meanwhile, Claire worriedly attempts to reach Chugs, asking about Garrett's whereabouts, not knowing that she's already dead. On the other hand, Jessica tries to brush it off and forces the others to dismiss it, saying that they should wait for Chugs to deal with Garrett because he's not a threat, just crazy. However, if necessary, Jessica makes it clear that she'll deal with Garrett herself. Amidst the ongoing party, Cassidy checks Andy's location, feeling a bit disappointed that he isn't anywhere near her. But Cassidy's mood instantly changes when he surprises her by showing up by her side. Although they aren't enjoying the party, Andy is more than willing to accompany his girlfriend for the night. Meanwhile, in the middle of the dance floor, Claire gets into an argument with Mickey when he fails to notice she isn't in the mood and insists on dancing seductively with her. After not getting what he wants, he argues with her, saying he can get any action he wants from anyone. This upsets Claire, so she throws his ring in his face before walking away. He then goes out and tries to score with Ellie, who coldly rejects him immediately. When Mickey tries to make a pass on two other women, he sees that Ellie is watching from the window, worried that she might tell Claire. He goes after Ellie to try and talk her out of snitching. While looking for Ellie, Mickey stumbles upon the hooded killer, who strikes him with a piece of wood, breaking his leg. Mickey breaks open a window with a chair to scream for help, but the people that see him just think he's drunk. He then tries to escape through the dumbwaiter, but the hooded figure kills him with his tire iron knife, which Ellie witnesses as she hides from behind. Terrified, Ellie runs back into the party, screaming, alerting her sorority sisters. They then check up on Ellie, who says she witnessed a murder committed by someone wearing a graduation gown. However, given that it's graduation day, her testimony isn't the most reliable. So Jessica and Cassidy check it out themselves and see Mickey's dead body along with the murder weapon. Their phones also ping, receiving a text from Megan's phone, which shows the recorded video of the murder, with a mysterious text telling them to meet back at the murder place. Before driving down to the lake with everyone, Cassidy goes back to Andy and tells him to leave first because she must deal with a situation that she swears to tell him about afterward. Although Andy is unwilling to leave his girlfriend, Cassidy manages to convince him before joining Jessica and the others. At the mine shaft, they see Garrett with bloody wrists holding the other half of Cassidy's jacket. As he's about to attack them with a shard of a mirror, Jessica runs over Garrett before he can hurt anyone else. Then upon inspecting Garrett's body, they realize that he slit his wrists, and then they look through his phone. They find out that he's not the perpetrator because he got the same texts that they did. So, to see if Megan has really come back from the dead, the girls lower Cassidy down the mine shaft using a chain. There, Cassidy doesn't see Megan's body anywhere, but instead sees blood writing on the wall that says, Theta Pi must die. Returning to the party, they see the house empty and find out that everyone went to an after party. They hear a noise coming from the backyard, and they're told that it's the jacuzzi overheating. Claire splits off from the group to shut off the tub, and even though advised not to go alone, she goes anyway, confident with having a flare gun to protect her. Meanwhile, the other girls receive a text from the killer through Chugs' phone, saying she won't make it to the party because she's dead. Then, suddenly, Claire bangs on the door, screaming for help. The hot tub's plug is tied around her ankle, and she gets pulled back into the bubbles. Without hesitation, Cassidy rushes to save Claire and sees her flare gun go off, but finds out that it has fired into her mouth. On the other hand, Jessica looks around for Kyle, only to see Maggie half naked on her bed. She's about to sleep with Kyle because she knows that Jessica slept with Megan's boyfriend, so she tries to exact revenge for her sister. The two then start fighting, but Cassidy stops them, pointing out that Megan might be inside the house. Fed up, Jessica takes the emergency axe and waits for the killer to arrive. However, she's caught by surprise when the sorority house mother, Mrs. Crenshaw, appears, avoiding Jessica's axe and hitting her face with a gun. Mrs. Crenshaw says that she knows what the girls did, making Jessica confess to Megan's death. Confused, Mrs. Crenshaw says that she was pertaining to the trashed house, not the murder. Maggie is taken aback, emotional at the thought that her sister was killed by her friends, so she starts to pull answers out of Jessica. However, Cassidy points out that they're not sure anymore whether Megan's really dead. And to add to their problems, Jessica also admits that she told Kyle about Megan. Mrs. Crenshaw then says she'll deal with the intruder and tells the girls to stay in the room and call the police. Unfortunately, none of them has their phone with them. Thinking Megan is still alive, Maggie rushes out when she hears gunshots, hoping to save her sister. Concurrently, Mrs. Crenshaw repeatedly tries and fails to shoot the hooded intruder. Then, just when she runs out of ammo, the killer appears in front of her. The tire iron flies towards her, missing her body by a few inches and sticks to the fridge behind her. Unfortunately, while Mrs. Crenshaw reloads the gun, the killer rushes and pushes the table towards her, impaling her to death. Refusing to sit around waiting for death, Cassidy and Jessica go downstairs to get Mickey's phone and use it to call for help, but not without telling Ellie to stay in the room and run away at the first chance she gets. Meanwhile, Maggie also stumbles upon the hooded killer. Thinking it's Megan, she tries approaching the hooded killer, but the stranger throws a Molotov in her direction, setting the house on fire. Down at the basement, the two women are surprised by Kyle wearing a graduation gown. Realizing that he slept with Maggie, Jessica attacks him, but Kyle overpowers her and gets mad that she let things out of control. Meanwhile, Cassidy gets Mickey's phone but is pinned down by Kyle. So Jessica helps Cassidy by hitting him with the blunt end of the axe, but Kyle easily grabs the axe from her. Fortunately, Cassidy helps by hitting Kyle in the face with a fire extinguisher. Hiding from Kyle, they go to the bathroom, only to see Megan's decomposed corpse hanging in the shower. Jessica then listens in on the door for Kyle, but gets knocked out cold when he slams the axe through it, hitting her head. While Kyle breaks into the bathroom, Cassidy tries to run away at the first sign of an opening, but is still caught by Kyle, adamant about protecting his reputation. Fortunately, Andy shows up, driving an axe on Kyle's head and saving Cassidy. When Jessica wakes up, she goes outside and sees that Andy has the tire iron with him. Cassidy starts to notice too, realizing it has been Andy all along. Jessica then tries to negotiate, swearing secrecy, but Andy shuts her up by driving the tire iron into her mouth. As it turns out, Ellie told Andy about the situation, and out of love, Andy did what he did to save Cassidy. He confesses that he killed everyone who knew about the murder, tying all the loose ends for Cassidy so that they won't have to deal with it anymore. With no other choice, Cassidy pretends to cooperate with Andy. She tries to persuade him to leave, but she's adamant about killing Ellie too. Refusing to kill her friend, Cassidy convinces Andy that they should just go because the house is on fire, so Andy says he'll deal with the rest and meet her outside the house. Cassidy then leaves, but only to go save Ellie. However, they're suddenly intercepted by Andy, who now realizes that Cassidy's just deceiving him. So she tells Ellie to run while she deals with Andy. And as Cassidy points out that she's been tracking his phone, Andy admits leaving it in his car to hide his real location. Pissed, Cassidy hits Andy's head with a lamp and runs away when he falls. Meanwhile, trapped amidst the fire, Maggie screams for help. Cassidy tries to help her, but Andy reappears and attempts to kill Maggie by tying the tire iron with a rope and throwing it in her direction. Cassidy tries to fight back against Andy, throwing a chair at him, but he comes back up once again. He then hits the wooden floor that Cassidy is standing on with a blunt object, making her fall through. Cassidy pleads with him for help, but Andy is over her now because she chose her sorority sisters over him. Just in time, Ellie comes back with Mrs. Crenshaw's gun and shoots Andy, making him fall on the collapsing floor and into the flames. Ellie instructs Maggie to wrap herself with a curtain so she can cross over the fire, and after helping Cassidy up from the floor, they all leave the burning sorority house. 15 months later, Maggie becomes a part of Theta Pi. Meanwhile, a person with a scarred wrist, who could be Garrett, stands in front of the sorority house, holding a garden trowel.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.